When it comes to keeping tabs on everything that's happening right now, the Epstein files, Donald Trump rolling out his authoritarian agenda, who is collaborating with the regime, what corporations are doing business with ICE, et cetera, et cetera. We want to work smarter, not harder. And praise the Lord for people who are far more tech savvy than I am, because there's an awful lot of online tools and widgets, etc., that we can use to help us be more efficient and organized and understand all of this deluge of data that's coming through. And that helps us be more successful organizers, and organizers who don't fritter away all of our time combing through information. We're working smarter, not harder. So I want to take a second here and discuss 3 different online tools that I think will be helpful for folks. I know I have found all 3 of these quite helpful. Let's start with the Trump Action Tracker. I know that Steve Bannon, Donald Trump Heritage Foundation, they're hitting us with that shock and awe. I know people like to pull out the big fat Project 2025 notebook and say they've gone through 50% of this, but that's really abstract for most of us. It's really hard to understand how that looks in real life, what kinds of policies and executive orders, what kinds of court cases, what kinds of actual functional changes have happened in the US as a result of Donald Trump trying to employ all kinds of horrible, awful shit. TrumpActionTracker.info is a really useful tool that tracks the Trump regime's rollout of their authoritarian agenda across, I believe it's 10 different categories. You can count them with me and see if there's actually 10. Undermining democracy, hollowing the state, suppressing dissent, controlling information, targeting science, attacking education, weakening civil rights, destabilizing foreign policy, corruption, and militarized nationalism / anti-immigrant action. That's 10. I really like this tracker for 2 reasons. One is that you can see where they are really focusing across these 10 categories, where they're really focusing their energy at given points in time. Like right now, it's really destabilizing foreign policy and militarized nationalism / anti-immigrant action. But then below the graphs, there's this whole chronological progression that just links to news story after news story in order by date, and each of those stories are color-coded so you know immediately which of those 10 categories they correlate to. I have found it a very useful tool for tracking specific stories, specific actions of the regime across time and at the same time across those 10 categories. So that's TrumpActionTracker.info. Okay, number 2, we all want to know who is working with ICE, what businesses are contracting with ICE, what businesses are supporting and aiding an ethnic cleansing in the United States. I have long said, and I firmly believe, that we, the American people, have far more power and we exist in far greater numbers as consumers rather than voters. Voting is really important. We've all got to make sure that we are pushing hard for get out the vote movements. We've all got to vote in the midterms. But y'all, there are millions, and there's like hundreds of millions more of us who are consumers than voters. We all buy shit. Our children buy shit. Teenagers make up a huge portion of the consumer base. They can't yet vote. They have power through the economy. When we withhold our dollars collectively, and we do so for sustained periods of time, look at the Target boycott, look at the Disney boycott, look at the Spotify boycott, we have so much leverage. So we got to hit them in the pocketbook when it comes to these corporations, for-profit corporations that are collaborating with ICE. Now, boycotts are often most effective when you pick 1 or 2 businesses and you focus on them and you show everyone in that industry, hey, if you piss us off, we're going to hurt your bottom line. We're going to crush your quarterly profits. And in that way, you chill their desire to collaborate with the regime, even though you aren't directly targeting all of these businesses. And I do think there's still debate about who we should really focus on: Target, Home Depot, Hilton, what have you. I think all 3 of those are good candidates. But if you just decide that you, on a personal level, don't want to give your money to organizations, to corporations that are supporting and working with the regime, particularly when it comes to ICE, or do you want to offer a very low barrier to entry way that people can withdraw their money from these businesses doing business with ICE? This is some real slacktivist shit, y'all, and it can actually make a difference. Resistandunsubscribe.com. Super easy way to just pull your money back from these businesses who are doing business with ICE. Not only do they have a list, but they have clickable links to help you very quickly and easily unsubscribe from all of these businesses. They make it as easy as possible. Click the link, unsubscribe, move on with your day. I have a lot more thoughts on targeted actions that we can take against corporations that are profiting off of ICE's reign of terror, but I will save those for their own separate video. Okay, the third handy dandy tool has to do with the Epstein files. I really encourage people to set some limits, some healthy boundaries for themselves when it comes to searching through the 3.5 million documents that were released in this latest Epstein files dump. I spoke at length in a video the other day about how everything is jumbled and disorganized and improperly redacted on purpose. That chaos is on purpose. And I do think that there is a level of responsibility we all need to undertake when we are looking through those documents, first of all, to care for ourselves, but also to be responsible in the way that we are describing what's in those documents so that we protect victims. We don't re-traumatize victims. We don't share information that should have been redacted. The government did not redact. But also being careful that we are not making unfounded claims, that we are not speculating wildly because we searched up some term in the documents and then posted it online. There's a lot of very irresponsible content I'm seeing around the Epstein files. So if you're trying to use the government's search function to look through the Epstein files, you may notice that when you search a term, sometimes documents come up and sometimes they don't. If words are misspelled, whether that is intentionally or not in the documents, if you don't misspell the search term, you're not going to find what you're looking for. And again, none of this is organized in a way that is meant to be helpful for you. It's not organized at all. It is meant to be obstructive and confusing and chaotic. It doesn't put things in chronological order. It doesn't prioritize some information as being more credible than others. Anonymous tips are jumbled in there with like sworn affidavits and court documents and FBI interviews and random photos. And it's all such an awful mixed mess. In a kakistocracy, the incompetence, the ineptitude, those are intentionally weaponized for malfeasance. It's not a glitch, it's the function of the system to make things as non-functional as possible. But luckily, there are good folks out there who are trying to organize this information so that we can push toward justice. And one of those is a tool called Jmail.world. It basically organizes all of the Epstein files as if they were a Gmail account so that you can search them chronologically, you can search by keyword. It uses the format of a Gmail account as a search engine for the Epstein files. I think it's pretty fucking smart. It's pretty smart, and it makes it much easier to comb through there in a systematic way to organize the information that you're searching up and to actually be able to find things when you're looking. So that's Jmail.world. I am really grateful to the technologically minded folks who are able to help combat the chaos of the regime, the incompetence of the regime, trying to help us organize. Not only is that really important for us being able to find the information that we need, it's also a really crucial time saver. Part of this flood the zone is not only meant to freak you out so much that you are just paralyzed and you can't function, it's also meant to overwhelm you so that you waste extreme amounts of time just like being a passive recipient of all of these terrible news stories, or you fritter away hours and hours trying to fruitlessly search up evidence that will be helpful. It's not just that they're trying to psych you out, they're also trying to waste your time in pretty significant ways. And we don't have any time to waste here. It is in many ways a race. The regime is trying to undermine the midterms and cement their power. I do believe that the midterms are an inflection point. Experts on authoritarianism have said as well. They're going to try, the Republicans and Donald Trump, they are going to try to subvert the free and fair elections of the 2026 midterms. So in that respect, we are up against a clock. I don't think that we're going to get justice for Jeffrey Epstein's victims by the midterms. I don't think that we're going to fix all of this madness by the midterms, but please understand there is a race. They're trying to consolidate their power before we have built the sufficient people power mass movement that is capable of huge, prolonged, sustained disruptive actions that will shut them down. So any way that we can become more efficient and waste less time and be more effective in our pursuit of justice and in our organizing, we need more of that. So thank you to the folks who are willing to do that work. It's really necessary. It's a key component of resistance, and we really appreciate you.